Great. So hello, everyone, and welcome to another social science coffee break. I am Stacy Allen, and I am joined today by my wonderful colleague, Paul Rombo, and we will be sharing with you one elementary resource and one secondary resource that can be used to promote digital competency alongside of subject-specific competencies in geography and history. Paul and I, we both work for Learn, and part of our dossier includes being the Receive Provincial Services for the Anglophone Services, which helps support teachers and students with the integration of technology in schools. So today's elementary resource is hot off the press, just published. It is called What Time Is It? 1905 or 1980. And this is a short little activity where students are presented with an infographic and they need to kind of decipher what elements on the infographic represent Quebec around 1905 and which elements represent Quebec around 1980. And this activity is designed for cycle 3, about grade 6, where they're looking at that competency 2, looking at change over time within one society, being Quebec society. Okay. And I love this activity because it's a quick visual way that could students can explore some of those changes, and it could be used either as a review of content where they've already kind of learned and they have to kind of summarize what they have learned in this quick activity, or it could be used as a little introduction activity where students actually have to read documents and then use their knowledge from those documents to help complete the activity. So before I jump in and show you what the activity looks like, I want to show you a bit about the technology that I used to create the infographic. So this month, our theme was on NotebookLM, and this week we wanted to particularly focus on infographics. So NotebookLM is a Google artificial intelligence platform where you can upload or source information from clear sources. So rather than a general AI system that is pulling from maybe random sorts of data from across the internet or across its database, NotebookLM will really focus on whatever sources you upload or you put directly into the system. So you can see here on the left, I can search by web, but what I've actually done in this case is I uploaded two copy-free text, one on Quebec about Quebec around 1905 and one on Quebec around 1980. So it's only hopefully going to be pulling from those two sources. So I know that my content is probably going to be more reliable. Still means I need to check it to make sure it didn't get any hallucinations or misunderstandings combining or analyzing and piecing apart those data sources. However, for the most part, NotebookLM, if I'm uploading my own sources, it's going to be more trustworthy. I've already done the hard work of editing those sources before I've directly remixed them into an output. So based on whatever I've uploaded, here I have a chat in the middle, and on the right side of my screen, you'll see that there is a studio section, and that shows some of the different products that I can remix my sources into. So you see from the two uploaded text, I could generate a little podcast audio overview on those two topics. I could generate a quiz, I could generate a mind map, and so forth. And when you click on these, actually, if you click on the pencil, because for this activity, I generated an infographic, you can actually include your own prompts. So you can choose your language that you wanted the output to be presented. You could change the orientation, for example, of the infographic. I can also pick a visual style. So you can see there's lots of options there. You can pick a level of detail, describe exactly what you want your infographic to focus on. So for this example activity, I uploaded my text, Quebec 1905, Quebec 1980, and then I asked for an infographic that would summarize or show the main societal changes over time. And I use the QEP or reference to QEP to focus on specific changes over time, like specific changes to transport and the role of the church in the society, because I really wanted to pull those pieces out to focus on the competency 2. So you'll see here a bit of what NotebookLM generated for myself. Great. It might take a minute to load. Great. So there is the infographic that NotebookLM generated for me. Now, this was great, but for my activity, I really wanted students to be able to sort what clues or elements belong to what society. So right now, the infographic on NotebookLM, you'll notice, on the left is 1905 and on the right is 1980, but I really wanted to mix those up. So what I did is I downloaded my infographic from NotebookLM and I input it into my Canva for Education account. So I actually uploaded my infographic into Canva. So I can actually pull up my Canva. Why don't I show you? So here it is. So I uploaded it into Canva. And from there, once my infographic was uploaded, I can actually, I'm going to mess things up for a minute and go to my uploads and walk you through the process. So there is my infographic directly, originally, as it was produced by NotebookLM. What I did there is in my Canva tools, I selected my image or my infographic and I went to edit. And I used Canva's new Magic Layers tool, which is using AI to piece apart a flat 2D infographic. Okay, so if I click here, you'll see it will piece apart so that I can manually move every single element within my infographic. So I can move the pictures, the text, I can adjust the font, I can change anything that was already generated by NotebookLM. Okay, so that's going to take a few minutes. Hopefully it won't take too long. But you can see what I did is once it pieced apart the different elements, I sorted them. So, well, or unsorted them. Oh, here we go. So I actually can take the individual parts now and mix them up, which is exactly what I did in this activity. So you'll see I've kind of grouped using my cute little pictures from NotebookLM and the text as a base. I've now edited it and regrouped them by aspects, rough aspects, not people where they live would be demographics. But I sorted them into different categories to make it a bit more visually less stimulating, I guess I would say, for students and easier to sort through, okay? So to get back to my activity, the activity involves students. It can be done on Canva or using a student workbook. The activity involves students first looking at this infographic, kind of thinking about what they see, what are some of the elements that they notice, what kind of initial understanding or beliefs do they have about the different elements. From there, students can work individually or in small groups or as a class. To sort the different elements of the infographic. Again, this could be done using the Canva whiteboard that I have here as a template link for students so that they could edit and share, or it could be done in the student workbook, which I'll show you in a minute. So here students can actually, if it's on Canva, grab and pull the different elements to the different sections. So they could say, oh, moving to the city in the country, that might be 1905, so they could sort it there. Oh, I have to bring this to the front, okay. Nope, I'll have to layer that. That is my error, so I will change that now in the template. Oop. Okay, so I will play around with this. Oop. Some bugs. Like I said, it's brand new. I just published it yesterday. So I'll change a bit of the layering, but you'll see that students could typically drag and drop the elements to sort them. And then after they've sorted the elements by which ones are 1905, and which ones are 1908, they could pick one of those and write a little explanation of why they think it changed or to explain the change in more detail. And you can see here on the left, I've actually included hyperlinks to different pages on the Society and Territories website. So students wanted to research more about a specific element, or they weren't sure which elements represented 1905 or 1980, they could read some of the documents there to get a bit of a clue. Okay, after this part of the activity is done, then students can have either a small group or whole class conversation about some of the changes they notice, how technology might have influenced those changes. And then again, for connections to today, there's a question about if they were to make a new infographic about, 2026, what might change compared to the elements that were included for 1980. And then again, as an exit ticket here, we have what is one important change between 1905 and 1980 that you noticed. Okay. Very quickly, I will show you where this lives on societies and territories. Sorry for the swapping rapidly between my ongoing tabs, but you'll find it here on societies and territories. If you look up Quebec Competency 2, Interpreting Change for Quebec 1905 and 1980. It will be in that section there. And you'll see that you'll find a link to the Canva file, as well as a teacher's guide and a student workbook. So here's a bit of the student workbook if you wanted to do it on paper rather than in the actual Canva notebook. And if I go back, if my internet's not too slow, because it's super windy outside, you don't hear it today, but obviously because I'm inside, but it's very windy, so the internet's sporadic. But here is my teacher's guide. So you'll see it quickly breaks down. There's some example answers there that can help you in supporting your students with this activity. So if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd love to hear how you think, what you think about this infographic-based activity for Competency 2 for Elementary Cycle 3. And without any further ado, I will pass my speaking power over to Paul to explain his secondary resource.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another coffee break. I am attached to my phone on a very windy day because the power is out. We're going to see if I can get enough juice to share my screen and get started on this week's share, which is on NotebookLM produced infographics. And this is the idea is to do various analyses, but I'll leave it singular for now because I'm only showing one. An example of creating and analyzing infographics that are made from learned materials, in this case, overview text and a large document collection on a particular subject. This is secondary cycle 3, no, sorry, excuse me, secondary 3, secondary cycle 2, and it's on economic activities and trade networks and waterways of Indigenous peoples. So it's the first time period, and I'll show you where that is in a second. But why do infographics? Well, there are a lot of infographics on Learn already. We've produced our own infographics on primary documents and the intellectual operations. If you search that, if you searched infographics, you'd find an activity where in geography, where I have students produce infographics on a community in Nunavut in that case using Canva or another tool like that. But this is an idea where NotebookLM does the infographic for you, and it still has a functionality. Why it helps students synthesize information, focus on topics and concepts. And in this case, it's used to determine differences and similarities between the Algonquin and Iroquoian economies and ways of life and so on. And they also help promote critical thinking. When you're building them, you're making decisions, you're pointing to certain aspects and certain concepts. But in this particular case, you're critically thinking about the actual infographic produced by AI. So I'll show you where it is, my particular share. It's on the history website. This is not posted on the Learn main site as a resource yet. It's a small idea that I've put on an existing page and relate to an existing resource. So the page is in the history of Quebec and Canada sites, which is um, basically secondary history .learnquebec.ca, and it's in the first time period. It's called Economic Activities and Trade Networks. And there's some guiding questions, and there's There's some learning intentions, and then we have a whole page. So this page was, I created a PDF on this page about these different economic activities, trade relationships, waterways, and so on. And on that page, I'm just going to move this thing out of the way here. On that page, there's a large document collection from which the page was created, actually. And there are various documents, like these types of pages that have various documents. So I took that page and created a PDF, and I joined it together with the PDF that is the website itself, and I added them to NotebookLM. And I asked them to create an infographic based on those documents. And I'll show you that in a second, but I'll just show you where I stuck the infographic on that page. So down at the bottom, as a sort of tool to summarize what was said above, is an example infographic. And below it, it says, which topics, concepts, and points are correctly portrayed in this AI-generated infographic above, and which are not. So it's clear that it's an infographic that's produced by an AI, and you can analyze it using this slide deck. So here's the resource here. There's a direct link in the coffee break template, but it's a very small resource. It's got a title, and it's got the prompt. So NotebookLM infographic prompt after uploading the above information. Actually, that's from the site. So basically the information on the site. I asked it to create an infographic based on the document collection that compares economic activities between Algonquin and Iroquois peoples with a Venn diagram-like feature that shows where their practices might have overlapped. So I stand corrected. It's not about the whole page, but it's about the economic activities in particular, which are throughout the page. So now down below here, you can see there's a question, an activity suggestion. In a group, find examples of the various topics, concepts, and points in the infographic by looking through the main document collection on that website I just showed you. So they'll look through and they'll see an example, the Iroquois and Three Sisters, and they'll find the example in the actual document collection, including the details, so the example. And the activity suggestions ask to note any errors or points that are lacking in the infographic or that misrepresent what life was like for Indigenous peoples. So in this activity, there's a large version of the infographic available, and there's a table, work in progress here, where basically there's a space for students to note which document they were referring to, where they found the information, and then to note the point that's made in the infographic and the example in the document. So they say this point about Three Sisters was made, but the example in the document says, and they could quote it. And there's a space on the right for any errors or refinements that should be made, should be pointed out or made to the infographic that was produced. Now, obviously, this activity, and the reason why it was in plural at first, you could have several infographics. Students could make the infographics once they have access to NotebookLM. Teachers could try this prompt several times, and it will create several different infographics. So students could have different experiences. You could divide them up in groups and so on. So that is my share using technology, Google Docs for the document collections, NotebookLM for producing the infographic, and Google Slide Decks for providing an environment in which you can analyze an infographic. So that's my share, and thanks. I'll see you next week for another share related to NotebookLM.